love being out with her. She introduces me time and again. She's been working tirelessly. And also, I've got to tell you, Pat T-Bury, thank you for his leadership. Senator Portman, who you just heard from, what a great friend. You know, he was playing Barack Obama in our debate preparation, and he was tough. I'm glad I didn't have to debate him on TV. Quite a guy. You got a terrific senator, and I appreciate his help. Auditor Dave Yost is here somewhere. Where's Dave? I know he's around somewhere. Someone's saying he's over here. He's been my chairman in the state. He was very hardworking from the very beginning when not many people were behind me, and now a lot more are behind me. So I thank you. Steve Cohen and the Cohen family for their commitment to Ohio, their work here, for the people they employ here, and for their commitment to America. Thank you, Steve. Thank you for that. Now, I have heard you chanting out here 4 more days, and you are right. There's not much time left before people will be making the decision as to which way the country's going to head. I think a lot of people made their mind up a long time ago who they were going to support.
With you!
But there are some folks who are getting ready to put aside the demands of daily living and to ask themselves what's best for them, and what's best for their family, and what's best for America. And as they go through that process, what I hope they'll do is put aside all the speeches and put aside the ads and put aside the attacks and really focus on the record. Because as you know, talk is cheap, but a record of accomplishment and achievement, that is something which happens with effort. That's something you can't fake. And so I'd like the people across the country to give this election some real consideration to decide who can actually get America strong again. I know how to do it, and that's why I believe on November 6th you're going to give me the nod, and I'll be coming out. Four years ago, then candidate Obama promised us so very much, but he has fallen so far short of what he promised. As Senator Portman just said, he promised that he'd have a post-partisan presidency, but it's been the most partisan I've seen, with divisiveness and bitterness and division and demonization hallmarks of his presidency. He said he'd focus on creating jobs, but instead he focused on creating Obamacare, which killed jobs. He said he would cut the deficit in half. Instead, it's double what it was. He said he'd get unemployment by now down to 5.2%. And we learned today it ticked up to 7.9%. That's 9 million jobs short. Those are real Americans. Can't find work. 23 million in all can't find work, or can't find work that's up to their needs, only find part-time work. This is a critical time. The president was a president who took office with the economy as the #1 challenge, and you know he's got higher unemployment today than when he took office. Think of that. The president of the United States presides over a nation under his leadership where unemployment is higher than the day he took office. And then, of course, he said he was going to save Social Security and Medicare because they were headed to insolvency. What's happened instead? He made no effort to save either one. In fact, he took $716 billion from Medicare to pay for Obamacare. And then he said he was going to lower the cost of your health insurance by $2,500 a family by now. He said it's gone up by $3,000 a family. And gasoline prices, they're also up by $2,000 a family. And then, of course, he said he was going to work across the aisle on the most important issues that America faces. The last time the president met with either the Republican leader of the House or the Republican leader of the Senate to talk about jobs or the economy or the deficit was in July. All right? So this is a president who has promised a lot of things, but whose record is very different than the promises. Instead of building the bridges that we needed in America, he built a broader and broader divide. And I have a very different approach. I recognize that this president is, again, making new promises. And these are promises he can't keep, just like the last ones, because he says he's going to keep us on the same path we're on. And one thing we know is if we stay on the same path, 16 trillion in debt will become 20 trillion in debt. We know that high unemployment today will be high unemployment over the next 4 years. We recognize that take-home pay will continue to decline. We'll see stagnant wage growth. We know that he will devastate the military. His Secretary of Defense said, in fact, the $1 trillion in cuts in the military, those $1 trillion in cuts would devastate our military. Unless we change course, by the way, we may be looking at another recession down the road. So the question for this election, in my view, is this. You want to stay on the same course we're on, or do you want real change? Because we represent real change. The way to deliver it. And I'm promising change, and I have a record of achieving it. I started a business from scratch and helped make it successful. That's not easy, that's change. I took the reins of another business that was in trouble and helped turn it around. That's real change. Went to the Olympics that were in trouble and helped get them back on track. That's real change. Then I went to Massachusetts as the governor of my state, and there's a man from Massachusetts, I appreciate it. And my legislature was overwhelmingly Democratic. We did not battle with each other day in and day out. We instead found common ground. We had a multi-billion-dollar budget gap. We came together to solve the problem by actually reducing spending, brought taxes down 19 times, made our state more business-friendly, and a $3 billion budget gap became a $2 billion budget surplus, or a rainy day fund. Change is not just something I talk about. It is something I have actually done. And we need to have someone in the White House who can not just talk about it. I'm putting in place real change from day one. And across America, you know, people have been talking about our 5-point plan. We're going to make sure, number one, we take full advantage of our energy resources in this country, our coal, our oil, our gas, our nuclear, we're going to review our regulations as they relate to coal and make sure that burning coal is done in a clean way, but we're not going to kill the industry like you've seen the EPA do under this administration. We're going to double the number of permits ultimately on federal lands and federal waters for drilling. Canada built and brought oil to the United States. North America on track to be energy independent within 8 years. And that means less cost to fill up your tank, less cost to heat your home. It also means a business like this. My guess is the folks here use a bit of energy. All right? If you're going to be cutting steel like that and bending it, it takes a lot of energy. And so manufacturing cares very deeply about what the cost of energy is going to be. If we take full advantage of our natural gas and our coal and oil, renewables and nuclear, we're going to have low-cost energy. That's going to bring more manufacturing back. It's going to make this company do even better. And I appreciate the fact that energy is so key to our nation, and that's why one of the first things we'll do on day one is get America on track to energy security. We take the right steps on trade. I want to open up more trade, particularly in Latin America. And when nations cheat, and unfortunately over the years China has not played fairly by the rules, we're going to make sure we stop that and make sure trade works for America. We're going to make sure training programs are ideal for the people who need training for the jobs of the day. And we've got to fix our schools and make our schools globally competitive. Number four, we're going to do something politicians have spoken about and they have never done, and that is we are finally going to cut federal spending and finally... I'm not just going to take office on January 20th. I'm going to take responsibility for that office as well. I want small business to grow. My executive order on day one, I'm going to go look at all the Obama-era regulations, and I'm going to take out those that are killing jobs and killing small businesses. I'm going to make sure our taxes are more something else I'm going to do. From the very beginning of our administration, every entrepreneur, every business person like Steve Cohen here and his family, they're going to know that the government of the United States, for the first time in 4 years, likes business and likes the kind of jobs. I think we've almost forgotten what a real recovery could look like. I think we've almost forgotten what Americans can achieve if we limit government instead of limiting the dreams of the American people.
Yeah.
And you can choose. The people of America can choose what kind of a nation we're going to have. They have all the information they need. I think this group here has chosen. It's my impression.
Yeah.
And so I want them to think about how they make this choice, because they have the information they need. This you know. If the president were to be reelected, he will not be able to work with Congress. Don't care what he says right now. We have 4 years of record to look at. And of course, he's burned a lot of bridges there. He ignored Congress.
Yep.
He attacks Congress. He demonizes Congress. They're not going to sit down and work together. And we're going to face another one of these debt ceiling limits. And there's going to be a threat of a shutdown or a threat of a default of some kind. And that, of course, sends chills throughout the economy and costs jobs. The president just cannot work with Congress to finally get the job done. He says he would. He said he would before, and he didn't. I have a very different view. I actually take him at his word, because he said the other day that he can't change Washington from the inside. That's why we're going to put him on the outside. When I'm elected president, across the aisle, find good Democrats and good Republicans that care more about the country than care about politics. We have got to do that. I mean, regularly with leadership, Democrat leadership, Republican leadership, we have got to get America on track and get beyond these extraordinary partisan divides that have kept us from accomplishing what needs to be done. There are other differences between us, people know. If the president were to be reelected, well, you know he's going to continue his war on coal. You know he's going to continue pushing back on oil and natural gas. It just seems to be in the nature of some in his party not to want to support carbon-based sources of energy. I'll take America in a very different track. I want to take advantage of the energy resources we have. If the president's reelected, I think you will understand. He will continue to promote government, and he'll demote business. I actually like business. You know about the president's approach because we've seen it now. I mean, he put together a jobs council. These were people he picked from industries around the country, brought them in to give him advice as to how to create jobs. Do you know how long it's been since he met with the jobs council? 9 months. Can you imagine that? 9 months.
Gross negligence.
Well, first of all, I like business, and I'm going to have a lot of people offering advice, but I know a good deal about it myself to begin with, and that'll help the president. I was yesterday in Virginia, and met a woman there named Rhoda Elliott. Rhoda has been running her family business, Bill's Barbecue. I think she said it had as many as 12 restaurants at one point, 200 employees. It's gotten smaller and smaller. When I was with her yesterday, she said we're closing down for good after 82 years. Was it 62 or 82? Well, one of the two. After 62 or 82 years in business, she's closing down. And she said she's doing it because of the regulations, the taxes, Obamacare, and the Obama economy. And there are hundreds of thousands of her like her out there. I want to help them, and I will help them.
Yes.
I'll help her. Things he'll do in education to help your kids have greater schools. But you know that when push comes to shove, he's going to listen to the people that put the big dollars in his campaign, and that's the public sector unions. When I'm president, I'm going to help the people who don't have a union to help them, the parents and the kids. And make sure they have a voice, and we finally have a chance to see which schools are succeeding and failing and give and a choice to the schools. we brought Obama and myself in our debates. I enjoyed those debates, by the way. The president says that, you know, it has to be this way. I say it has to change. He says that he's got excuses for us. I say, in fact, no, I've got a plan for us. He says that we need to settle for where we are with this high unemployment and high debt and low wage growth. I say this, Americans don't settle. We aspire, we dream, we work hard, and we achieve. On November 6th, we're going to come together on November 6th and elect a new course for this nation. And November 7th, we're going to go to work to get America out to work again. On November 7th, I want you to reach across the street to your neighbor who has that other sign. And I promise to also reach across the aisle in Washington to people who've been working for the other party. We have got to bring America together so we can build on the greatness of the American spirit. The door to our future is wide open. America's future can be greater than our past. We have a people of extraordinary character, innovative spirit, passion, and patriotism. If we have leadership that will draw on the greatness of the American people, leadership that knows what it takes to rekindle an economy, leadership that cares about our kids and the next generation, leadership that's committed to a military second to none. To see great people, to see the great qualities of the human spirit in the American heart. I'm always moved when I see someone who has served our nation in our military, particularly when that person served all the way back in the Second World War, like this gentleman right here. Thank you, sir. We stand on the shoulders of men and women like that in the greatest generation who served America in the great conflict and stopped unspeakable darkness from spreading over the land. We stand on their shoulders with freedom, but also with an economy second to none in the world. And this is the time when we recognize that what they have provided for us was an extraordinary gift, but it is now our turn. They've held a torch aloft for freedom and opportunity and hope. The whole world has seen it. It's not America's duty to hold the torch aloft, it's America's honor to hold that torch. And now it's time for us to grab it and to hold it high for the world to see. You're probably going to decide the next president of the United States. The question for you and the people across Ohio, when you see your neighbors tonight, or whenever you see them next, make sure and ask them, do you want 4 more years like the last 4 years? Do you want to stay on the same path around? Do you want to see continued decline in wages? Do you want to see health insurance costs go up and up and up? Is that what you want to see? They have to understand that they know, by virtue of what they've seen for the last 4 years, what the next 4 years will be like under President Obama. We have a better way. We will bring real change to America and help Americans have a bright and prosperous future. We've got to do it.